Okay, welcome back to part A of the place and livability assessment task. Now we've looked so far at doing the compass point, setting out the big broadsheet using Google Earth, and the last thing we've got to look at is the sketch map. It's probably maybe a thing that you might have looked at on the notification and were a bit confused about. You weren't really sure what you were doing. But that's what we're going to go through here. So there's me here, and I've also got with me
Kai
and
Leo.
my two other kids. So they're going to help us through the sketch map. So let's get started, okay?
Okay.
All right. Shh. Now, the big question that I find most students are going to ask straight away is, what is a sketch map? And a sketch map is just a simple hand-drawn map of a geographic feature, or of any feature, really. And it can be of any scale. You can see here, I just Google searched what is a sketch map, and you could have a large scale, so of the continents, of all the continents, or you could have something really small, like this here, like a small little section of a suburb, or you could have something sort of fairly medium sized, like a region. But all a sketch map is a small, or is a simple hand-drawn map. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating a hand-drawn map of your local area with the sketch map. I'm going to show you how I did it, and how you could do it as well. All right, so if we've got our broadsheet here, you've done this part here, you've done this part here, you've filled out this, and you've filled out this and this, and so really the last part is this. This is where the sketch map's going to go. Now you can see here, whoops, I've wrote through that, didn't mean to do that. I've got the word bolts. Bolts, B-O-L-T-S. Now every map has to have bolts, B-O-L-T-S. Now your teacher is going to go through what bolts are, but you're going to be marked on that, and so your sketch map is going to have bolts. Some of you might already know what that is, and that's fantastic. And if you don't, you make sure you ask your teacher as you're going through. But you've got to make sure that you've got bolts in there. And they are just features that every good map needs to have. So this is where you're going to be drawing your sketch map in this little section here. Let's get on to show you how I did it. Okay, the first place, and this is just my recommendation. You don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I did it. I went to Google Maps, and you could use Google Earth if you wanted, but I just find Google Maps prints a little bit nicer. It's just a little bit more simple. You notice here, if you look at the Google Map that I've printed, it's certainly more simplified than the Google Earth. Google Earth has a lot more in it. Google Maps has a much simpler interface. So what you need to do is you need to find your area, and so this is the area that I'm using. Some of you might be able to see here. This is down at Cronulla. So you've got it. Hopefully, many of you are going to be aware of this area. So what I did is I just printed this. I just found my area. I screenshotted it. So I took a screenshot or a print screen, and I printed that off. And you'll see. So you can see here, this here is my printed screenshot, and you can see the screenshot up there. So what I did is I just took that, printed it, and then what I would suggest you do is over all the big roads, and the landmarks, so the features like the coastline, or if you had a lake, then you go over them in a big permanent marker. And the reason you go over an impermanent marker is that it means that it's going to be really dark and you're going to be able to trace it. What you do then is you put your map that you've put your permanent marker on underneath the broadsheet, and then you're going to see those lines, and you're going to be able to trace those lines onto the map. Like that. Or something like that. You'll see it on the next page. There you go. So you can see now I've got my title. I've got my orientation here as well. I've also now sketched in all of these features. Now this might not make sense to you now, like it might just sort of look like a whole lot of lines. But because it's my map, I know what I'm looking at. And once I've gone over it light, and I'm going to say a really big one here, make sure the first time you go over it, a really light pencil, and then once you're happy with it, you can go over it in a little bit darker. But you have, when you're going over it in pencil, have the map next to you so you know what you're looking at when you're completing that sketch map. One of the last things you've got to do, you can see here, is now you've got to put in a legend at the bottom, and now you can do this in a range of ways, but you need to have a legend or a key where you set out some of the features. Now I've just color coded it, and that's fine. If you want to do it like the way I've done it, not a problem. I had purple for retail, I had green for park, I had blue for the ocean and the bay, and I had red for roads. I had the little dot for significant landmarks, and I have the X for my place. Now, just as a heads up for you, that is actually not where I live. I don't know who lives there, but I just didn't particularly want to show everyone where I lived on this. So I just picked a location. So don't go around knocking on that door expecting me to answer it. Just in case you're wondering. I've located, you can see here, a whole lot of important landmarks, important roads, and I've got the orientation showing where north is, and we're going to do the scale in part C. So at this point here, the sketch map is pretty much done. You can, if you want to make it more complicated or more intricate, you definitely can, but if you do it to about this level, then that is going to be more than adequate. So, the question that I always get asked is, are we there yet? Don't I?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Are we there yet? So, are we there yet? Well, yeah, we are actually. Part A, at this point now, you should be done. You should have filled out your name. You should have your 8 compass points done. You should have done Google Earth and found your 10 services facilities. You should have recorded that on Source 1 and put it on the template. You should have used Google Earth to locate them on the map, and now you should have done the sketch map and had the bolts on it. So if you're watching this and your part A has been done, then you're really doing a great job and you're well on track. All right, I look forward to speaking to you next with the lesson we're going to look at on part B.